Part 64. What kind of luck Chu Xinghong had? He became a third-rank official. Seeing that the sky was getting dark, Yi Yang was busy rushing back to the holy city. And he declined the warm invitation of the Chu family's two siblings, left the village with Jun Yi, and walked all the way to the holy city. On the way, Jun Yi looked at the people who were still busy. His expression was slightly gloomy, and he wished to return to the palace immediately to deal with the crimes of corrupt officials. But he knew that this matter could not be rushed, and he had to send spies to investigate and collect evidence in order to annihilate the officials who dared to violate the law. The door of Chu Xingyan's house was crowded with people today, and the villagers all craned their necks, watching the scene in the fence courtyard curiously. No wonder they were so curious. After all, they had lived in this village for so many years, and it was the first time they saw officers and soldiers coming. What's the matter? Why are there so many officers and soldiers suddenly? Someone asked the villagers beside him for no reason. I don't know. I just came here. The person who was asked was also confused and didn't know why. Wouldn't it be a crime? Someone made a bold guess. Don't scare me. The man in front of them was very frightened. You must know that he was Chu Xinghong's fourth uncle. If Chu Xinghong really did something wrong, he would also be implicated. Just as everyone was talking about it, the leading officers and soldiers took out the imperial decree and proclaimed loudly, "When the imperial decree arrives, everyone will kneel down to receive the decree." When they heard the imperial decree, everyone was so frightened that they hurriedly knelt down to receive the decree. In particular, the relatives related to Chu Xinghong were trembling with fear, and secretly scolded Chu Xinghong for what he had done to hurt the world and the law. Why is it disturbing the current saint? Chu Xinghong, who was kneeling in front of the officers and soldiers, looked pale, and felt uneasy in his heart. He tried hard to recall whether he had offended anyone recently. And why did he provoke an imperial decree? Chu Xinghong's parents hunched their backs and knelt on the ground shivering. If they could speak at this time, they would definitely scold Chu Xinghong. Everyone thought that Chu Xinghong had committed a serious crime to provoke the emperor's decree, so they were all frightened and turned pale. The officers and soldiers at the head did not know what everyone was thinking. He opened the imperial decree and preached, "Heaven news carries the emperor's decree," and the edict said, "Chu Xinghong in Chujia village in the holy city seeks for the benefit of the people and finds a new crop of potatoes. I am deeply gratified to establish the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Chu Xinghong is the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the official residence is the 3rd grade, and from now on, he will go to the Holy City Ministry of Foreign Affairs for appointment. I will also be given a 3-entry mansion, 20 maids, and 20 guards." Everyone was stunned, and they all looked incredulous. They didn't know what kind of shit Chu Xinghong had. But he was hit by a big pie and became a high-ranking official of the 3rd-rank official residence overnight. Chu Xinghong was stunned when he received the imperial decree. He never imagined that he would become a 3rd-rank official overnight. Turning to think of the two young people he met a few days ago, he was in a state of shock and wonder. Not knowing who the other party was, then he actually asked for a 3rd-rank official position. At most, he thought that he could become a 9th-rank official. But he didn't expect it to be a 3rd-rank official. This made him tremble with excitement, and he really wanted to slap himself hard to see if he was dreaming. Chu Xingyan's eyes were filled with tears. She did not expect that she would also have a day when she could survive. As for Chu Xinghong's parents, they were already dumbfounded. And their minds were filled with the 3 words, "True. Rank 3. Yi Yang didn't know the excitement of Chu Xinghong's family. He was now heading south with Jun Yi to the next town. Just along the way, Watching the people carry wooden barrels to pour water into the fields, the two felt very uncomfortable. Urguzi, come and see, that water wheel is really a god. It can really bring water from the river into the fields. A boy in his teens rolled up his trousers and shouted while standing on the top of the hillside. The boy who was called Urguzi was only 13 or 14 years old. He raised his head and looked at the boy on the hillside and cursed, "Look. I'm busy fetching water and irrigating the ground." The boy is not interested, after all, he is not busy now. I want to fill the paddy fields with water, and when the seedlings germinate, there is no place to plant them. Although Urguzi was not interested, Yi Yang and the two were interested. When the two heard the water wheel, they instantly became energized, and finally found a place where there was a water wheel. The two of them supported each other and climbed the hill. Looked at the boy and asked, "Where is the water wheel?" The boy didn't care that Yi Yang and the two were strangers, and said excitedly, "Over there. The land over there is all over there. It belongs to Lu Yuanwai's family in the town, and his family has money and bought a water wheel." Seeing that the two were curious, the boy enthusiastically led them to the place outside Lu Yuanwai's house. After walking for more than 10 minutes, I finally saw a small water wheel turning in the river. The rotating water wheel takes the water and rotates to the top, and then pours it into the trough below, and the water flows along the channel below the trough all the way to the field. Although Jun Yi had seen the design drawing of the water wheel, he had never really seen the operation principle of the water wheel. He was interested in it for a while and squatted beside the water wheel to watch how the water wheel sent water into the sink. He didn't understand it at first, but after seeing it for a while, he understood. He couldn't help but tut his tongue in amazement, sighing that Yi Yang is really a genius, and he can come up with such wonderful things. "Hey! What are you doing?" Suddenly a cold shout came, and then a tall man came out of the shed not far away. He saw someone observing the water wheel and shouted loudly. When the boy saw the man, his neck shrank in fright, and hurriedly said to Yi Yang and the two, "I've been caught by the watchdog of Lu Yuanwai's house, hurry up and run." The boy dropped the words and ran away. But after running a few steps, they saw Yi Yang and the two were still stunned, so he shouted, "Run! Why are you standing there? Why are you running?" Yi Yang looked puzzled. They just came to see the water wheel, not to steal the water wheel, so why run? The boy stomped his feet in a hurry. Seeing that the strong man was getting closer, he took a few steps back because he was timid. If it wasn't for Yi Yang and the two who were brought up by him, he might have run away. "Hey! Are you two here to stealthily learn to make a water wheel?" The strong man stepped forward and asked in a rough voice. In the past few days, he has caught a lot of people who came to watch the water wheel, fearing that they would stealthily learn the operation principle of the water wheel. So he deliberately stayed here to stop those who wanted to steal it. It's really selfish. Yi Yang was literally killed by this popularity. He gave these farm tools to the people of the world for free, but he was profited by these black-hearted officials. Now, I am afraid that the people around me will stealthily learn to make water wheels, so I specially invite a person to take care of the water wheels. "What did you say?" the strong man asked in a rough voice, not hearing Yi Yang's words. Yi Yang didn't pay attention to him. After all, he was just a servant who took money to do errands. It was no fun to trouble him. He turned around and left with the gloomy Jun Yi. When the strong man saw that the two of them had left at a loss, he didn't ask for trouble, he cursed a few words, turned around and walked to his shed. When Yi Yang and the two returned to the bottom of the hill, the boy stepped forward and said with a look of fear, "Why don't you run when you are told to run? If the big guy makes a move, the two of you will be beaten badly." Jun Yi, who has martial arts by his side, doesn't care at all. Don't look at the strong man, but if he really wants to fight. Jun Yi is sure that the strong man can't make 3 moves in his hands. But his troubles were not with the strong man, but with the water body. The things he promoted for free were sold at high prices by black-hearted officials. Along the way, seeing the people living in a difficult time, as the emperor, his heart aches. Those who once lived in high places never thought that their people would be so unsatisfactory. Once the people scolded him, he was still wronged, but now after seeing the suffering of the people, I know that he really should scold him. Do you want a water wheel? Yi Yang asked the boy in front of him. Of course, if we had a water wheel, we wouldn't have to carry water to fill the ground. The boy replied with a childlike expression with his big black eyes. Would you be happy if my brother told you that it would be a while before water wheels could be distributed to your village for free? Yi Yang asked. The boy did not show the happy smile that Yi Yang expected, but ruthlessly complained, You think you are a god? You say that popularization will make it popular. But that's a few hundred taels of water wheels, how could it be cheaper for us? Yi Yang, who had ruthlessly complained, was speechless. Jun Yi looked at Yi Yang, who was complaining, and felt a little better. Then he saw a peasant woman walking aggressively with a stick, and was shocked. When the boy saw the woman, his face turned pale, and he ran as fast as he could. You stinky boy, stop for the old lady. How dare you be lazy? Let's see if the old lady won't kill you today. The peasant woman chased the boy with a stick in her hand. Jun Yi had never seen this battle before and was stunned. Yi Yang was gloating and shouting to the boy's back, Hurry up! Your mother will overtake you. The boy who ran away heard Yi Yang's gloating voice, and was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood, but when he saw his mother got closer and closer to him, hugged his head and shouted, Mother, I was wrong, I was wrong. Jun Yi looked at Yi Yang, who was gloating around him, and didn't know what expression to use to express his thoughts. Yi Yang looked at Jun Yi and said with a smile, Childhood without sticks is an incomplete childhood, haha. Seeing Yi Yang smiling happily, his dull mood improved a lot, and he asked, You were also a child when you were young. Have you been chased and beaten by your mother like this? That's a must. How many children living in the countryside are not held by their mothers? Yi Yang suddenly stopped and looked at Jun Yi in horror. Jun Yi hung on Yi Yang's body and said with a smile, What are you afraid of, my beloved concubine? You were not afraid when you invented so many things in such a high-profile way. What are you afraid of now? Does Yi Yang really think he is a fool? Can't you see his change? Although Yi Yang had guessed that Jun Yi might know that he was not the original owner, he never thought that Jun Yi would make it clear. Jun Yi rested his head on Yi Yang's shoulder, his breath sprayed on Yi Yang's neck, and asked ambiguous, If my beloved concubine is willing to share where you are from, I will listen carefully. Yi Yang tilted his head and replied, I'll talk to you in detail tonight. Okay. Jun Yi touched Yi Yang's chest restlessly, and asked with hot air, then, What's your real name? Yi Yang hurriedly grabbed the unbridled big hand, and replied in a serious tone, Yi Yang. Also called Yi Yang? Jun Yi stretched out his other hand in dissatisfaction, wanting to continue to do bad things, but Yun Qing hurried over, clasped his fists and respectfully said, Master, we have found enough evidence. Jun Yi glared at Yun Qing, who was disturbing him, said indifferently, Well, let's do what we should do. But, Yun Qing looked embarrassed. But what? Jun Yi's expression turned cold. But the other party is the Shu family. When he heard the Shu family, Jun Yi's expression became even colder, and he said gloomily, What should I do? Since the Shu family dares to embezzle, they must do a good job of being exterminated. Preparation. Yun Qing didn't dare to disturb the solitude of the two, so he respectfully responded, turned and walked into the town.